Okay, so today I want to go over how to make sure you're not over or under training in the gym. Let's get into it. Okay, so I'm going to start with overtraining and how to make sure you're not overtraining. So the first thing I want to go over is how much you're actually supposed to be training in general in the gym. So in a typical week, you should hit, and these are kind of like odd ranges the way I'm going to say it, but I'll explain it quickly. So on the low end, somewhere around like 8 to 10 working sets a week. And on the high end, you should be hitting somewhere between like 20 to 25 working sets a week. And that is per each muscle. So what do I mean by that? So let's say your chest, right? You should be doing at a minimum 8 to 10, at a maximum 20 to 25. So technically you could say 8 to 25, but I typically steer on the, I typically try and do at least 10. I don't really like the 8. I think it's too close to like the minimum. I'd rather do a little bit more than that. But so I'm going to say 10 for all the examples that I use in this video probably. But so you're going to want to do somewhere between like 10 to somewhere around 20 to 25 working sets per week for your chest. So now I've said working sets a bunch. What is a working set? A working set is when you're actually using a weight that is stimulating. So for example, I was talking about chest raise, so let's stick with that. Let's say you go to sit down to do a bench press. When I start my bench press, I start with, after I've warmed up, I'm going with just the bar. That is not a working set. That is extremely light. Then I jump up to 135. That is still not a working set. That is still me warming up. Then I'm gonna go to 185. Now, typically I go up to 205 with where I'm at right now. So I'll probably only do like 5 and 185 because I just want to have a weight between 135 and 205 because that's a big jump. So typically I won't even count 185 as a working set because I'm not pushing myself to like the max. Like I can do way more than 5 reps in 185. So now that I'm at 205, I'm going to do 2 sets of probably like somewhere between like 6 to 8 reps. And like that, somewhere in that range of 6 to 8 is going to be like me hitting failure. Like I'm going to be struggling or a spotter's going to have to be taking the bar up from me. So those are actual working sets. But like the one where I was just doing the bar, the one at 35 or 185, those aren't actual working sets because you're not pushing your body. You're not really challenging your body. You're asking your body to do something, but like it's not very challenging. So when I said like those 8 or those 10, to 20 to 25 working sets per week, you have to make sure that you're only counting the working sets. You can do, let's say, like I typically do like 4 or 5 sets of bench, maybe even 6, but like only like 2 or 3 of them are like true working sets. I do a lot of sets on bench because I want to warm up and make sure I'm properly ready to hit my set because I don't want to get injured. So you need to make sure you're actually counting your working sets because there's so many people I've seen that like tell me they do this many sets. So they say they do like 30 sets each workout, but like if you actually watch them train, they're not actually doing 30 sets. They're doing some warm-up sets that, yes, they're doing the sets, but those aren't like stimulating muscle growth. Those aren't sets that are going to be doing that. So now there's 2 ways you can split this up for how you work out. It depends on how many times you hit each muscle group each week. So for example, for me, I hit each muscle group twice a week. Therefore, meaning I only do like 8 to 10 working sets for each muscle each time I go work out. So let's say like on Monday I hit a push day. So I'm hitting chest and tris, right? So I'm only going to do like, I'll probably do 4 chest exercises and 2 or 3 tricep exercises, but I'm only going to do 2 working sets for each of them. So if we add those up, that's going to be 8 working sets for chest on that Monday. And it's only going to be 4 working sets of of triceps on that Monday. But the reason I do so little is because when you're hitting triceps alone, you're not hitting your chest. But when you're hitting your chest, you're also going to be working your triceps just by the nature of how the exercises are set up. Like bench press is a tricep exercise in a sense, especially if you're doing like a close grip. I don't do a close grip bench, but even doing like a normal grip bench, you're going to be working your triceps. So I do a little bit less volume because I know I'm hitting them in other ways. So as I said though, that would be 8 working sets for my chest and 4 working sets for my tricep on Monday. So on Tuesday, I probably get push, do something similar. Wednesday, I'm going to hit legs and shoulders. Thursday is going to be rest or another push day. Now, if I do the same thing again, that's going to be 16 total working sets for chest for the week and somewhere around like 8 to 10 working sets for my tricep for the week. So now that you see, and I would do the same thing So that would be Thursday. So then Friday would be another pull day. And then Saturday would be legs or shoulders. And then Sunday would be rest or rinse and repeat and start over again. So basically, as you see though, with the way I broke it down, I'd be hitting each muscle group somewhere in that around 10 to 25 or 10 to 20 working sets per week just by doing that. Now, if you're someone who does a bro split where you're just hitting chest on Monday, now you're going to need to add more volume in. You can't just do what I did where I'm doing a little bit less volume, but I'm hitting the muscle twice a week. If you're just hitting it once a week, you're going to need to increase the volume. And the last thing I want to go over is, because we're talking about overtraining, you need to make sure you're taking your rest days. And I feel like it's kind of been like popularized to not do rest days. But a lot of the times, a lot of the people you hear that aren't taking rest days aren't natural lifters. And if you're not a natural lifter and you're on whatever performance enhancers, you don't need as much rest days because your body's going to literally recover faster. That's what you're taking these things to do. But if you're like me and you're natural, like, you need to be taking your rest days. Your body is just not going to recover fast enough. That's another reason why you shouldn't be hitting crazy volume with crazy intensity when you work out. Because if you're a natural lifter, you're just going to put your body into the grave. Like, you're hurting your body in a sense because you're just asking it to do so much that it just literally can't do. So you need to make sure you're not overtraining. Try and stick, like, even on the high end should be 25 working sets a week. You should not really be doing more than that. Your body's not going to be able to properly recover and make the gains you're trying to get. So just make sure you're staying somewhere between that, I'd say like 10 on the low end to 25 on the max end working sets per week. Make sure you're staying on that. Okay, now we're going to talk about the one that is way harder to do, and that's undertraining. Because most people do not have an issue with undertraining unless they're just not training. If you are training, if you're training even like 3 days a week, you're probably not undertraining unless you're not working out with proper intensity. Undertraining, if you are someone who's working out, and if you're watching this video, you're most likely someone who works out consistently, you're only probably going to be undertraining if you're not putting forth like the requisite level of intensity while you're training. So what do I mean by that? How do you figure out what the right amount of intensity to be training with is? You should typically be trying to go somewhere between either 1 to 2 reps from failure, or you should be trying to actually hit failure while you're doing your sets. Now, you shouldn't be trying to hit failure on every single set you do, but you should be within like 1 to 2 reps most of the time. So now, to do this, you actually have to try and push yourself. Like, getting to these areas of like 1 to 2 reps of failure, 2 failure, like, you have to actually want it. Because you can't just be giving up because you start feeling like that little bit of burn in your muscle. Like, if you're doing that, you're gonna make some progress, but you're definitely going to be undertraining because like you're doing something, you're not really pushing yourself. The gym is all about pushing yourself. So you need to make sure that you're doing that. And another thing is, if you're training with like really high rep ranges, like let's say you do 20 to 25 reps for everything, it's gonna be really hard to try and figure out what 1 to 2 reps from failure actually is. And if you're confused on what I mean by that, think about this. Imagine if you're doing like a little bit of a heavier set and you can only do 6 reps, right? At the time. It's gonna take you a lot longer to get to 8 reps than if you were doing 22 reps and you want to get to 24 reps. In both cases, I only added 2 reps, but getting from 6 reps of a weight to 8 reps is a lot harder than getting from 22 reps of a weight to 24 reps of a weight. Because you can already do so much more and it takes a lot less effort to get from like 24 to 25 because clearly the weight wasn't crazy stimulating if you can already do 22 reps. Whereas if you can only do 6 reps, that weight is highly stimulating to muscle. You can only do 6 reps. So getting from 6 to 8 is going to be a lot harder. So those are I feel like the main points I'd focus on for undertraining, but honestly, I definitely went in way less depth of detail for undertraining because if you're watching this, undertraining probably isn't your issue. Undertraining is more an issue for those people who just aren't training or only get to the gym like once a week. At that point, you're probably undertraining, but if you're watching this video, odds are you're not someone who's going to really have to worry about undertraining. If you are though, those are definitely my best tips for you. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed those tips on how to make sure you're not overtraining specifically, because if you're watching this, as I said, that's gonna probably be way more important for you. And those are also the tips for undertraining. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you can make some utilization of those tips I just gave you. Got any questions, leave them in the comments. I'll answer them. Once again, hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe. My discount codes are in the description. Check them out. And I'll catch y'all next Sunday at 5 p.m. Catch you there.